Internationalization began on a large scale when Hollywood movies began filming in other countries for the creative and economic benefits of filming abroad. Filming in location offers the ability to significantly increase the realism of the set design, while simultaneously decreasing production costs due to foreign subsidies and good exchange rates. However, transportation costs are high, since flying an entire film production cast and crew to another country is expensive. Rather than ship all of their crew members to remote locations, studios began to hire nationals for leading roles and positions, such as director and lead actress, and locals for smaller behind-the-scenes positions such as gaffer. These locals then connected with Hollywood executives and planted the seeds of the film industry around the globe. Though the film network increased, Hollywood still ruled. To this day, productions are mostly financed by American producers, and distribution and exhibition remain largely in the hands of U.S. companies. American producers learned over time that there are some problems with filming abroad. Language barriers create difficulties between crew members and can eventually lead to more expenses. For example, if the head prop man can't speak Italian, the producer has to hire an interpreter. The interpreter speaks both languages but knows nothing about making pictures, so the producer has to hire an Italian prop man. That makes 3 people for one job. Lack of infrastructure can also lead to high production costs. Poorer countries such as India and Uganda would be less expensive initially, but to build infrastructure to house the crew and cast would be quite costly. Therefore, Hollywood producers prefer to film in English-speaking affluent countries such as Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, Hungary, or South Africa. The UK in particular has better incentives, such as their tax credit system, which draws in many film producers. As one UK executive said, the business model for the United Kingdom is basically to find a British script, a UK cast, and a UK director, and to make it in England, but financed from America, and distributed in the American market. If you can get an American market, maybe the rest of the world will see it as well. And he was right. Hollywood studios now receive 70% of their annual box office revenue from international markets. Whereas total box office spending has increased by about 30% in North America, it has increased by nearly 50% in the rest of the world. There is rigorous effort among the major studios to make and globally market films that will likely succeed internationally. Using universal ideas and themes, films blur cultural identities and nationalities to make them widely accessible and relatable across countries. Scripts use simple language to avoid getting lost in translation. Now, the film industry is flooded with superhero movies, fantasy flicks, and action-adventure thrillers. In 2014 alone, in the top 15 highest-grossing films worldwide, 8 were action or fantasy films. 4 were superhero movies, and 3 were animated films. 10 were sequels and reboots. In 2015, the highest-grossing film internationally was Furious 7, which garnered over $1 billion in box office revenue. 2 other films were also grossed over the billion-dollar mark: Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens and Jurassic World. After the US, the second-largest movie market falls to China. Chinese box office revenues grew by an astonishing 36% in 2015. However, China only allows 20 international films into the country each year. Hollywood films began to cater to Chinese audiences specifically to secure their slots. In 2013, Iron Man had an extra subplot that involved Chinese characters made for China. In 2012, Red Dawn featured Chinese villains, but for the Chinese audience, the villains were digitally removed and replaced with North Koreans in post-production. Storylines are crafted specifically to fit the recipe of a high-grossing film, and other narratives are tossed aside. All of the highest-grossing films of 2015, as well as all of the highest-grossing films in history, are Hollywood films, and none star a person of color. 40% of Americans are either Hispanic, Black, Asian, or multiracial, and yet their voices are largely missing in Hollywood. Furthermore, with most Hollywood films based in the US and the UK, the diversity of the rest of the world is largely omitted. The films spread across the globe represent one small group of people in one small country on this rather large planet. So when we talk about how the standards of beauty in the media do not represent every type of beautiful, when we talk about how young men and women of color don't have role models on the screen to affirm the fact that they are talented, that they are capable, and that they matter, when we talk about how there aren't leading roles for non-white men and women, or how overwhelmingly white the Oscars are, these facts do not just affect Americans. They affect how other people see America, how they think of America, and furthermore, how they think of themselves. They affect how the rest of the world will think of their own faces denied from the screen, their own stories left untold. Internationalization means that Hollywood does not just affect America. Hollywood affects the world.